Hey guys, welcome to HipHughes History. It's August and you know what that means if you're a teacher. You're going back to school, brothers and sisters. So I thought we would make a video, hashtag teacher tips for a new school year. 10 tips, take them or leave them, things that I think will help new teachers and veteran teachers as well. So why don't we hit them up right now and go giddy up for the learning and see if we can't talk about the craft of teaching. So number one, it basically boils down to every kid deserves a first impression. And I know data diving is really important and everybody kind of like congregates and talks about, you got Johnny? Don't do it. Try to keep a clear head so when you go in that classroom, that student sitting in front of you, they deserve a first chance, a clean slate, some transparency between you and them. So they might be able to change. They might be able to, turn a new leaf. Everybody deserves that chance. So try your best not to go through the roster, not to do any research, and just go in there and see every kid, not as a bad kid. Maybe there's some good kids that do bad things, but give them a chance. How about that? Teacher tip one. All right, here it is, teacher tip number two. Administrators might not like this, but please don't do a syllabus on day one. Everybody else is going to do that, and you're so going to make kids think they're in school, and that I think is so not your job. You want to make them forget where they are. They're in a new place. So do something a little bit different. Talk to them first, authentically. Tell them why you're there. They deserve to know what's in your teacher heart and maybe a little bit about your pedagogy, but they really want to kind of get to know you as a human being. Now, it can't be all warm and fuzzy, so I do think that you should jump right in and do some kind of production starting on day one. Now, I always did something called America Is, and I'd kind of have kids brainstorm about finishing that sentence and coming up with a prop. And then on day two, we filmed, put some music in there, and we had a final product. And the kids wanted to come to my class, and that's what you want. Engagement and attention is the fuel of learning, and if you don't get it early, it's hard to get it late. How about that? So, no syllabus on day one. You could do that next week. Number three, try to make your classroom as unclassroom-like as possible, as unschool-like as possible, because again, you're trying to get kids to be authentic and natural. And there's a kind of a paradigm that comes with that, traditional classroom. So you want to be flexible, and you're going to be doing hopefully different things. So put color on the wall, posters up. You might not be able to. I would hang things from the ceiling. I try to make it look more like a museum, a play museum, than some sort of classroom, and certainly make the chairs movable. I mean, if they're in rows in day one, you might just want to not do that. Like a semicircle or something like that. So that first activity can have kind of a feeling of hominess and that they're all together. I would also recommend, unless you teach the younger grades, give kids a little bit of a break. Let them sit where they want. I know it makes it easier for you to have all the names there and figure it all out, but making a first impression with students, telling them through those sorts of activities that you trust them is really going to give you a lot back in terms of not having to worry about classroom management later. If you're able to, go to the local AmVets or Salvation Army and get a sofa chair or something. Have a place for kids to relax and to brainstorm. Put curtains up if you can. You might have the fire marshal at your school. I don't know about that. But definitely do some things in that classroom to really make it look not like a classroom. And then I think you have a better chance of getting that engagement, that attention that makes learning so much easier. Rules are important. I understand it. I understand kids need structure. But what I would say is, at least on day one, don't micromanage the rules. Don't go through a million rules. I think in the long run, especially teaching older kids, the fewer rules, the better. I used to have one, basically, respect each other, don't curse, be on time, don't be an idiot. That seemed to work for me. If you spend too much time on classroom management, you're giving kids kind of the rule book to play the game and how to get your goat and how to break the rules. And I think that if you have the type of classroom where learning is happening and kids are producing and there's mutual respect and they like being there, you're not going to have to worry about rules in classroom management. So don't go rule cray. Don't go crazy with rules. Keep it simple. make it known, but don't spend a lot of time going over rules like it's some sort of prison or something like that. So chill, baby, chill, baby, and let's see if it works out. Number 5, where attention goes, energy flows. So the first 30 seconds of your class are going to be the most important 30 seconds of your class, because if you don't get their attention, then whatever else you're doing, it's like flying a kite with no wind. It's not a good idea. So some really simple things that you can do is music is an attention getter. You always have to assume that kids are coming in not thinking about what you want to teach them. They're thinking about what happened at the party, or why Johnny slammed my locker next to me, like things that they shouldn't be thinking of. So having a little music, if it's related to the lesson, that's great. But you have a chance to do a little cultural, expose. Play them a little Woody Guthrie, a little Public Enemy, throw in some classical music, throw in some songs that they probably should hear, like Willy Wonka theme music. But whatever you do something to garner their attention. I'd also have a really brilliant, interesting, weird visual on the wall, usually related to the class, with like a simple message to get them started. But it was interesting. They walked into an environment where it captured their attention. Now, what you do with that attention for the next 41 minutes and 30 seconds is going to be a big deal. But don't forget that 30 seconds is muy, muy importante, and you want to spend a little bit of time thinking about how you're going to use it wisely. Number 6, the hallway. Your reputation is really sowed in the hallway as much as it is in the classroom, especially for future students. So you have an opportunity when you're walking through the hallway to make great impressions with kids, to notice things, to joke around, to, have that interaction. Kid can't open their locker. You open the locker and wave your hand and go magic. Make eye contact with kids. I used to walk behind them and I would mutter content that I knew was on the test, and they would laugh. But it was this idea that I was human, I was joking around, I was interested in who they were, and really I saw it as kind of my playground to earning the type of reputation and respect that I wanted in my classroom, so I could do the teaching and they could do the learning. Number 7, your class door is like a magical door to Narnia. So make sure, and I know administration said, stand out your door, make sure everyone's, doing the right thing. Yeah, sure, do that. But also have that, chance encounter with kids as they walk in, to do the fist bump, to make a joke, to notice a new haircut. I used to put a pig mask on and scare them sometimes. But I would make sure that I had some sort of small interaction with every kid, because again, I was kind of buying into their attention, because I understand that if I have that, then I can do the real teaching. And plus, I want to have a good day. I want to smile. If you don't smile to Christmas, you should quit and go get a job at Walmart or something, although you might have to smile there too. But you want to enjoy your day. You want them to enjoy their day, because there's a better chance for learning when people are comfortable, when their guard is down, and when they're having a good time. Now, I know you got to get serious sometimes and have tests and do, things kids don't want to do. But for the most part, make sure that you're smiling, you're at your door, and you're using that interaction to make sure you make connections with human beings that happen to be students that you happen to have to teach. Number 8, hashtag teacher number 8. The most magical word to a student is their name. Now, you don't have to remember all their names right away, but you do have to show them that it's important to you and you're trying. So even if you get it wrong, you're trying to get it right. Use mnemonics, come up with ways to remember them. But if the way you're remembering them is rattling it off on a seating chart, you're not going to really, remember it in the long run, probably, maybe, but it tells the kid that it's not that important to them. It's more about you, being an organized teacher. So I used to tell them, if I don't remember your name by December, I'm going to give you 100 on a test. They'd usually forget and try to trick me, but it showed them that I cared who they were and I wanted to call them by their name. And on the same token, when kids call you Mr., and whether it's cultural or whatever, don't let them do that. You have a name too. You're a human being. And in order for two human beings to have a strong connection, they should know their names and use their names. So tell kids this and make sure you work quickly on trying to remember their names and use their names, because again, it's going to garner buy-in, it's going to garner attention, engagement, And again, that's the magic fuel that makes the car of learning go faster. So number 9, hashtag teacher tip number 9, make sure you use your teacher voice. Never forget this isn't a job, that you're a professional in a profession. And certainly you have to play by the rules and you don't want to bump heads and you might have to worry about tenure and job stuff, but raise your teacher voice when it's important to you. When they told me I had to put data on my wall because it was so important to learning, I disagreed. So I put a picture of the kid from Goonies named Data on my wall and I got written up. But I had to make that point. It was worth it for me. Now I'm secure, permanent certification, I have tenure, but do things at least that raise the issue to let people know that your pedagogy is important, that you're in a profession, and that you should have at least a hand on the steering wheel when you're driving the car of learning. Hashtag teacher tip number 10, the last one. Be a FOL, not just a teacher. Now, FOL for me means facilitator of learning experience. And trust me, I like being in the center of the room. I like talking a lot, but I understand that you're not really learning a lot as a kid in the space between my voice and their ear. So flip your classroom the best you can. There's ways to get content to kids without you having to speak it. I always used to do reviews, but at this point, if you have a one-to-one, if you have the ability to assign great videos, do that so kids can watch them outside of class, and then you can really work on production. Kids should be making things out of content, not just consuming content. You consume content to create content, hopefully in order to create more meaning and to learn skills that are valuable in the real world. So have them make movies and websites and podcasts and use traditional literacy to back that up so they're writing about it and planning about it and collaborating and sharing their work. That, I think, is the best way to facilitate not just your content learning, but a love of learning. So kids are going to take it to the next level. So think about ways to do that. There's lots of tech ways. If you want to leave a comment, I can get back to you and give you some specifics. But that's number 10. Be a FOL, not just a teacher. That brings us to the end, guys. So if you haven't noticed or you don't know, I'm going through a transformation of life. We're in a new place. We've just set up a new studio. So there's different ways. If you want to support HipHughes History, you can do that. You can follow us on Twitter at HipHughes. Join the Facebook group. If you want to take it to the next level, we have a Patreon site where you can donate a little bit each month to the cause. Or if you want to make a one-time donation, we are trying to raise a little money. I'd love to travel. I'd love to do some history videos on location, or maybe visit your school or give you some PD. There's lots of things that I'd like to do. We're also working on a hashtag teacher tip book, and we're looking for some funding for that as well. So if you're interested, the link is down below. But either way, I'm going to say what I say at the end of every video I've ever done because I believe with all my teacher heart, where attention goes, energy flows. We'll see you guys next time that you press my button.